Hi, this is Kim and Matt.
Hey, it's been a while, like 6 months. So we want to take a little bit of time and talk about why it's been 6 months and kind of what's been going on, and maybe draw that into part of what we wanted to talk about today. So I had huge life change, changed my job over the course of the last 6 months, which quickly brought me out of my heart and into my head, into my ego.
Okay, so translation.
Okay.
So when we talk about the heart, this is like the truest part of who we are. This is where we feel the best. This is where we're totally in alignment and we're like in our flow, in our zone. And that's the goal here with Law of Attraction. We want to get into our zone. We want to get into the heart and stay there. But life pulls us out because we get so focused on everything else and we get scared. And as soon as we go into fear, as soon as we go into the head about worrying and logistics, we get into the ego. And once we get into the ego, we're fucked. We're gone. We are like completely out of there.
And that's exactly what happened to me here, right? Like I was negotiating for a new job. I was going through all the logistics of like, where am I going to drive from, where am I going to sit, and then the fear of like, am I going to be successful at this new job? Did I make the right decision? Will I be able to move forward the way I want to move forward in my career? And all these things are going through my head. So I was so in the state of fear that I wasn't even paying attention to all the great things that this new job would provide me and my family and the experiences it would give me. I was just so stuck in the fear side of it, which just brought me right out of that vibe, that groove that Kim talks
for
about.
like 3 months. Okay, so 3 months goes by.
It was a good lesson. It was a really
3 months goes by, and I'm starting to get pissed. I'm like, where the fuck did he go? He was awake, and now he's asleep. What's happening here? He's in fear, and I can feel it.
In Maslow's triangle, like I'm at the very bottom. Like I feel like I'm in survival, right? Like I'm gonna die.
Right.
Like there's something going on here. I'm gonna die.
And so I'm sitting back and I'm starting to get pissed. And you remember in previous videos, we talked about whoever's issue is there, you need to first kind of work your own issue. So I know that my anger is not about him. I know it's about me because I'm just needing him to be a certain way. And
She had a taste of it.
Yeah. So I went in and started looking at, okay, I'm pissed. What am I pissed about? He was awake and it was fun, and then he fell asleep again. He went back into his ego, and that sucks. And so then I went underneath it and said, well, why does that suck? It sucks because I feel alone in this relationship, and I don't want to be alone in this relationship. And so then I sat with the sadness. I sat with all of that kind of gut-wrenching vibration or feeling that we avoid. We pretty much eat cereal, drink beer, and do all kinds of things so we don't actually have to feel that vibration, so we don't have to feel that. And so I worked every layer. I just had to feel through every layer of emotion that I was feeling, so that I got out of piss into sadness. And
now this also took 3 months. Like it wasn't like an overnight thing.
So then I got to the point of just acceptance. Like, okay, he's shut down. That's fine. He's not in the heart anymore. We had some good times, and now he's back in his head. And I just got to a place of acceptance. And then once I got to the place of acceptance, I was able to be in a place of, I was able to get back into my heart and check in and say, hey, what's going on? Like, you've been gone for like 3 months.
Now, if she hadn't gone through that process and had said that exact same sentence to me, I wouldn't have heard her, right? Like the fact
it would have come from my ego, and he would have shut right down.
She came to a place of where like she had accepted it, so therefore wasn't pushing me away. It was truly like wanting to create in our relationship what we once had, or asking me the question very sincerely.
Right. I mean, it may have come with like, what the fuck is up with you?
Yeah.
There was still passion in it. It wasn't like I was all zen
but it was
about
obvious that you had worked through your side of it. And then so on my side, it really like brought it up for me. Like, okay, I knew I was feeling this feeling, but I didn't know exactly what it was that I was feeling. Now somebody's asking me about it, which is always like, that's one of the benefits of being in a relationship, right? You have that mirror, you have somebody who's kind of can check in with you or on you. And so it caused me to like really sit back and say, okay, what am I scared of? I think I'm going to die. Okay, am I really going to die if, with a new job and the fears that go with
because
it?
the ego literally convinces you that you're going to die.
Oh, I thought like there was a tiger chasing me through the woods. Like that's
fight or flight kicks off, and then you can just hold it for as long as you want to sit in fear.
So I was constantly trying to make sure, like, is all this going to work out? And then what it cost me to do was say, am I going to die here? And really ask the question to myself, okay, if this job doesn't work out, am I going to die? No. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And just kind of what Kim did around the sadness, I was able to go through each layer of the fear. And then on the other end of it was really cool, because what I was starting to do was, rather than focusing on the things that I could be scared of, I was focusing on the things that were amazing about my life in this moment, like the new experiences this job would provide me, the new people that I was meeting, the opportunity it gave my family, all those, to experience new things that I'd never experienced before, and really focus on those, and it changed my vibration completely from being in a fear state to an excited state. And
right. So he went back into the heart state around the job instead of the fear state, which is in the mind. And he observed himself. I mean, awareness, that present moment awareness, is what disempowers all of the ego and all of the fear. So once he was able to even start doing that, I was able to kind of be able to connect again, because it felt like, okay, I can deal with you now that you're not in this terribly shut down fear state.
Yeah, and for me, it felt like night and day. Like it was completely being able to change my energy from being reactive and feeling like I'm at the bottom of Maslow's triangle to being at the top and being really in that area of self-actualization. Like, this is an awesome playground. Like, let's have some fun.
And he kind of made the decision more of like, am I choosing chocolate or vanilla? Like, not life or death. If I take this job, if I go into this job, everything's going to be terrible and I'm going to die. It's not as, or I'm going to be so happy and it's going to make my whole entire life. It's more of like, okay, I'll try this out. I'll see how it goes. And then if it doesn't work, I have lots of options. And that's how we lose ourselves in the ego. The ego tells us we don't have any options. We're screwed. If this doesn't work out, we're stuck and it's done.
Yeah. I mean, that was truly, that was like my biggest fear. And like the idea of how many options even this job provided me wasn't even in my head. It was really neat to come out the other side of it.
Right. Scarcity. The ego goes to, I have nothing, I'll have nothing, I'm making the right or wrong decision. And in the spiritual world, it's called duality, right? It's either I'm right or I'm wrong. This is a good decision, this is a bad decision. There's like no gray area when it comes to the ego. So when you're working with the ego and you're working with law of attraction, you want to kind of like smooth it out and be like, okay, this is not life or death. This is not right or wrong decision. This is just chocolate or vanilla or maybe a strawberry swirl.
Yeah, and honestly, the situation didn't change one bit from day one to day two. All it changed was my perspective of it and me looking at it differently.
Yeah. And so then things got to shift in our relationship once I was able to work through my anger, and once he was able to work through his fear around the job, then we could go back to kind of working with what we call the unified vision of the relationship.
Probably explain what that means.
So here's what happens. Like, we spend all of our days kind of reacting to what each other is doing, right?
Our kids.
Right. Yeah. And we stay in this reactivity, and very rarely do we set intentions for what we want to feel in our relationship or in our marriages or even as a parent. And so if you come at our relationship with a joint vision, an individual and a joint vision of what you want to feel and experience in the relationship, you can pretty much mold the relationship into that which you want. But again, if you're coming from your ego and you've got all this judgment and all this right, wrong, good, bad, you're pretty much not able to get to that place.
Well, and I think a part of it is like, you need to do this. I need you to do this thing in order for this unified vision to happen. Like, that's not it. It's all about like, what am I going to be doing? And then you do your thing on your side, and then together this unified thing happens. And
right.
You can be very specific or very generic. I mean, there's been times in our lives where we had a unified vision to start a family, or we had a unified vision to move to New York, or we had these unified visions that then we were able to manifest because both of us were behind them, or we could remind each other in times when we started to fall off that vision of like what it really meant to stay on that road.
Or we use the unified vision as a way to kind of blend us or glue us back together, because there was a time where I was getting really spiritual and super introverted, and Matt was like super extroverted and just wanted to be around people, and I was kind of feeling like, I don't think we have anything in common anymore. Like, so I started picturing us at running a yoga retreat, and I was in there teaching and being all deep and spiritual with people, and he was out there being all extroverted,
the registration
greeting everybody.
table.
and so I shared that with him, and then we both started to work with that unified vision. And actually, it wasn't much time after that we started doing these videos and working together. So it's not like this Maui yoga retreat, but it did kind of blend us back into a vibration or an emotional set that allowed us to kind of rebuild or re-glue us back together at a time where it just didn't feel like we were much connected.
Well, and what that vision also does is it creates something in outside of your current present state that you can project on, that you can say, what's that feel like to do that, and then create that feeling in your relationship today, which is a pretty cool feeling, because there's times in your relationship when things don't feel as good, or things feel like they're going down the wrong path. If you go back to that unified vision and come back to that feeling, that visceral, then you can actually have that excited feeling today without being in Maui running a yoga retreat.
Well, and the other thing I think people do, or we all do, is go to, is this right for me? Do I want to be with this person? And we start letting our vision or our thoughts go to, maybe we should break up, maybe this isn't right, maybe we should divorce. And once the mind starts to go into that place, that's a unified vision of breakup. So the question is, do you want to try for the unified vision of together? And by simply just picturing yourself together and happy, and being able to build that vibration through meditation, through just talking about something that you could be happy about together, or even doing things where you could share the vibration of happy. So the reason why, just a reminder, we're talking about vibrations is because law of attraction, that what you want to manifest in life, really goes based on how you're feeling. You could say all the right stuff, but if you're not feeling that way, then you're pretty much screwed.
And it's individual feeling, right? I think sometimes I would think that, oh wait, she's not in our unified vision, she's not in the place right now, I need to get her to start feeling that way. It's like, whoa, just worry about your own feeling, worry about what's going on for you, and she'll figure it out on her
own.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what we want to encourage you to do, is just start to practice. You have to use the imagination, especially if you're in a shitty place. You just have to make something up and work that vision of being happy together or enjoying time together. You do it separately. If you don't even feel good next to each other, do it separately and just start to imagine liking being with each other, or start to imagine co-creating or developing something really fantastic.
Yeah, pick something that both of you have a common interest in, or a common goal or desire, and really focus on what the feeling that it feels for both of you to be working on that.
And try to keep it away from being dependent on the other person to be or feel a certain way. This is completely aligning your own vibration, your own emotions around something that you feel that you want to create. And if the other person actually doesn't share the vision or isn't doing this with you, you can still do it. You can still influence, just as if you get into a shitty mood, you can sabotage the relationship. If you're in a positive place, you can positively influence the vibration of the relationship as well.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's what we wanted to share. Looking at holding your own vibration for yourself within the relationship and trying to develop a unified vision for the relationship so you can use law of attraction in getting happier together. Thank you.
See you next time.
You can see more at www.enlightenwithkim.com.